Welcome, sisters and brothers. This is Wolf. Thank you very much for joining me. I want to welcome you to another episode of WDRS Talk. And this one is going to be episode 3. And my guest today for this show is none other than a great chef. His name is Chef Ramon Antonio. He runs a couple of restaurants and he's been a chef since 1988. I met him in El Nido Resort back in, I think, 2006. I tasted his food, and it was just something that I have never tasted before. I mean, it's just normal food, but there's that little twist that he adds in the food that makes it very special. So I had to meet the chef who cooked the food in that buffet that I was in, and lo and behold, here comes Chef Ramon Antonio. We became good friends because he's also a rocker. He loves the rock and roll and metal music. And so, yeah, we talk about food. We talk about Anthony Bourdain. I think Bourdain had just, this was back in June, this interview. And Bourdain had just, we had commemorated a death anniversary of Bourdain. So he was a subject in our conversation as well. And we talked about also the food industry in the Philippines, his favorite food, his food adventures around the world. I mean, this guy is an encyclopedia when it comes to food and kitchens around the world. And he actually went to Switzerland to learn how to make cheese. So this guy is the real deal. And I had so much fun talking about him, his food, in food in general, Anthony Bourdain, and music. So enjoy this one, folks. Oh, and he also reveals the true origin of SISIG, and it's not what you think. All right, here it is. Chef Ramon Antonio and myself on WDRS Talk. Hello, sisters and brothers. WDRS Talk here, the Wolfstand Radio Show Talk podcast. And it is June the 9th. And I am here with a special guest, a good friend of mine, Mr. Chef Ramon Antonio. Please introduce yourself.
Hey guys, how's it going, America? How's it going, USA?
In the world.
Yeah, Ramon Antonio here from Mactan. I'm here in Mactan, which is an island across Cebu, in the Visayas in the Philippines. Yeah, famous for mangoes, lechon, and everything pork-centric. I've been a chef since '88. Yeah, quite ancient. Moved around restaurants, hotels, resorts. In a nutshell, I quit. I quit doing. I guess 2009 or 10, and then I started being a consultant for. Here we all are now amidst the pandemic, and chef, one of the chefs in the world, waiting for things to happen.
Right on. Yeah, so yeah, let's start off like with that, since the restaurant business, the restaurant industry is very much in jeopardy right now in many places where there had been lockdowns. So how is it affecting you? And before that, so you're in Mactan, and you've been there since.
I've been here since 8th of March because I'm here every month.
Wow. And so you had to stay there, right? When the lockdown happened.
Yeah. I was supposed to fly back 15th, and then the lockdown happened in 14th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you basically got stuck there, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So how's it affected you? I mean, are you running any restaurants these days?
I had projects before the lockdown. I had projects like, I had ongoing projects. I had upcoming. But now, again, this pandemic, right? I mean, tourism is a huge factor in creating this industry. aside from the locals, right? And then I just read somewhere online. I think this morning or the other day, the biggest effect would be on movie theaters, malls, and corporate offices. Uh, of course, online work is very cool still. So our industry, restaurant industry, it's hard. It's hard to say because the social distancing and all these rules by every government. I think not just here in the Philippines, but all over the world. Each government, well, not all government sectors have their own arm or department that really knows the back of the house, and I'm saying back of the house restaurant, back of the house rules and updates for the this COVID-19 thing, right? They
Right.
only issue things. They only issue things about the dining side of the house. They never issue things about the back of the house because that's not their forte, right? So it's
Right.
really up to us. It's really up to us. Somebody has to stand up, or a group of people need to stand up and create new standards and new rules.
For the new life that Earth is living.
For
Right.
the dining scene in the world, the new dining,
Yeah. So yeah. So what would you do? Let's say you were in charge. Let's say of a department like that. What would you come up with?
the health side of things, the sanitation side of things. I would say even without the pandemic, there have been standards. I wouldn't say they're all followed by everybody in the world, large and small, non-famous, brand names or not. I'm not gonna mention names, but there have always been rules on food safety and handling. Maybe we have to up the ante, kick it up a notch, maybe additional 10, 20, 30% more. Maybe add some new rules on the receiving side of things. For example, from farm to supplier to receiving it in the back of the kitchen. Maybe that
Hmm.
side. Yeah, but the processing in the kitchen, it's already set. The standards have been set, and it's already very the sanitation rules are all there, the health issues are all addressed. It's just a matter of somebody uh, policing it, on a regular basis.
Right. So it's is it the major thing, a question of sanitation?
It's more of policing it. It's really more of implement. Well, okay, rules like in any other sector of society, there are rules, right? And then there are people who implement the rules. But
Right.
policing for people to follow it on a minute by minute or hourly or daily basis, that's a different story altogether.
Yeah, that's a big job.
Yeah. Like before, for example, I would give an example. This is a non-pandemic example, but again about rules and implementing the rules was when Boracay reopened, right? When Boracay reopened,
Hmm.
the first week after it reopened, there were a lot of news in the local papers, local media
Uh-huh.
about, hey, there's trash again. There's so much trash everywhere. It's like nothing happened. And then they said, oh, it's the tourists' fault. The tourists, this and that. And then I said to myself, there's tourists all over the world.
Yeah.
There's tourists all over the world, man. And even us Pinoys, when we're tourists, we follow rules, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
tourists
So-
blame it on
Yeah.
the people who implement the
Those are
rules. Yeah.
yeah. Those are the locals, man.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're local tourist or international tourist. It's the people there who
No, I
should
mean
be
the
policed.
locals of not the local tourists, but the locals of Boracay.
Yeah, the locals of Boracay, the government, the authorities, right? I
Yeah.
think you're the authorities. Yeah, it's really about that. If the authorities can be paid, can be mulched, can be you can say, oh, I'm the son of this, I'm a judge. This is my aunt, uncle, or so and so, and but whatever.
Right.
Then nothing will happen, right? Nothing will
Yeah.
happen. Corrupt.
Nothing will happen. let's talk about Boracay for a while since we're on the topic. Because the first time I went to Boracay, because my family's from Iloilo, so Boracay is just like a way before. I mean, no one knew it. I mean, it was only Japanese tourists, European tourists, and not even a lot of them. And first time I went there, I think I was 13 or 14, and it was just like, and going to Caticlan from Iloilo is a 4 hour drive, but at that time when I was a teenager, it was just a dirt road. There was no paved roads. Once you got out of the suburbs and into the more of the wilderness part, it was all dirt road. So when you got to Caticlan, then you had to ride the bangka, and then you got to Boracay. It's like, oh my God, what is this place? And there's nobody there. There's still no electricity when I first got there. So it was all by kerosene lamps, and then you had to, the few hotels that were there, you buy food in the market, and then you have them cook it, and then that's your dinner. And then every morning, this was the most amazing thing. Every morning, these fishermen would come in with their catches and these huge fishes, and then you just buy like 20 pesos for this big ass grouper or whatever tilapia thing, and it was
Wow.
like fresh from the ocean. And so my point is, from then, every summer we would go to Iloilo and then go to Boracay. And then when just maybe in the 90s, when Boracay got, you know like ultra popular, because then they companies would have events there, so they would bring they would have events there, so their whole company would be there, and all these people who never knew about Boracay, they discovered Boracay. So it was, and then of course it just snowballed from there. And now, it's like, from what I've known it to be, and now there's a Shakey's there. The station 2, it looks like Malate. It's like they brought Manila to Boracay, which is, for me, it's like really stupid, because why would you bring the city that you're escaping from to this beautiful island and destroying that island? And it's just, yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I saw it when it was pristine and there's no one there, and then now it's like, man, it's like no hope of. I mean, that time is totally gone. So, when was the first time you went to Boracay?
Oh wow, I was okay. That's a very we can talk about Boracay for years and we won't be finished.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so multifaceted. The first time I went to Boracay was when Arab was president, and then he installed this lady, former beauty queen. I think she was Miss Universe or Miss International, Gemma Cruz, which
Hmm.
became Neta, Gemma Cruz Neta, and then she became tourism secretary, and then she saw that Boracay needed some push, right? So she
Yeah.
got us back in the early 90s, I think.
Uh-huh.
Um, a group of chefs. We were called L'Etoque Blanche. It's an international club of chefs. So each
Right.
country has a chapter. So I was
Oh.
on the Philippine chapter back then,
Okay.
and we were brought to Boracay. And back then, Boracay was just like there was this one resort, and then a few 50 or so meters, another resort, or 100 meters, another resort. It
Yeah.
was really, really bare. And then cooks literally had to run after like live chickens if somebody ordered chicken soup, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it was the boondocks before, but
Oh yeah.
nature was pristine. The water was clean. The sand was
That's it.
soft.
It was paradise, man.
The air was fresh. There were trees all over and mangroves, and so each chef was assigned one resort to develop the food of said establishment. So I was one of those, and then many decades later, and I'm saying really decades, I never had any interest of going back there because I grew up in Cebu, which is coast to
Yeah.
coast, a coastal island. It's an island,
Yeah.
and I grew up going to the beach every Friday after school, right? We would run to the water wearing our khaki shorts and white shirts, which is so normal for us,
Yeah.
Eating lechones every Sunday after church, it's like so. When I moved to Manila, and everybody was nuts about Boracay, I said, why,
Yeah.
right? So, and then Boracay is okay. In a nutshell, Boracay is, I think, if even not asking me, I would say it's just like any machinery. Somebody built a machine, not properly built, and then it became overused and misused. So what will happen to the machine? That's what happened to Boracay, and now they're trying to fix it. It should have been done
Years ago.
From the beginning, right? From the
beginning, yes, exactly. Exactly. I mean, well, that's what corruption does. It corrupts everything, even the pristine island of Boracay is corrupted. So, that's why if they had taken care of it from the beginning, I think in the end they would have still made a lot of capital and not destroy the island too much. And what I mean destroy is that to put too much commercial shit in there. I mean, because it's like when you go to Europe, when you go to the coastal, like in Italy, if you go to the south of Italy or what's the coastal freeway they have in Italy?
Amalfi.
The Amalfis, yes. There's nothing commercial there. These are small towns whose people live there for hundreds or even thousands of years, and they don't, and all the businesses are, local businesses. If there's a coffee shop, it's run by a family. Different restaurants run by different families. You don't bring Starbucks to the Amalfi Coast. I'm like, come on, So I mean, Boracay itself, Boracay itself sells itself. So you don't need to put Shakey's there. You don't need to put Starbucks. For me, it's like the local government should have encouraged the local people. Oh, magtayo kayo ng business. Masarap yung kape mo. Gawin mong, you make a coffee shop. Ganon, di ba? Instead of relying, being lazy and relying on on Shakey's to open their whatever. So what happened? So what happened to your project? Which resort did you work in?
I'm not going to mention the names of the actual resorts, but I had projects in the north, Ilocos, La Union. Then I had some upcoming ones for Davao.
No, I mean in Boracay.
Oh, in Boracay, I had projects there. I finished my projects there after the cleanup, and then when it reopened, problems ensued because, pushing envelopes, red tapes, and stuff like that. There were hotels and properties and resorts which did not follow the environmental rules, which is the hardest one for a lot of people because we're not exactly culturally we're not exactly environment friendly urban minds. The urbanites here in this
the
country,
urbanites, yeah.
are not exactly environment conscious, right?
Yeah, urbanites are just used to fucking seeing trash on the road.
Just them. Yeah, commerce and flash.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what happened. Like you were mentioning all these brand names, and then I came from a 4-year stint as an executive chef of El Nido before, which was number one for several years during my time. Number one in environment or greenest resort in Asia, and we even beat Maldives and Thailand. Back then, we were carrying our flag, Philippine flag, Yeah. So I learned a lot, and a lot of people now in our country think, or even globally, they think, environment friendly, sustainable, this and that. They forget the most important part of sustainability, and that is the people, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about local fish, local plants.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's about the people.
People, you don't hire people from outside. You have to hire people there. right?
You train the people there.
Exactly. Mm.
Yeah.
So that's what
Kasi
happened.
yeah. Right. So anyway, you mentioned El Nido. I mean, and that's a good segue because that's where I met you for the first time.
Uh,
Do you remember that?
for a longer time, we had our highs, hellos before, but we probably forgot during those annual 107 Rock Awards every year.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah,
okay. Well, shit, man. I was in a haze during those times.
all
So,
of us, all of us.
and
Yeah.
I mean, and I met so many people during those times. I can't remember every. But no, but like I said, it's like when I since we're on this topic where when we formally met each other, when we finally did meet each other and shake hands and gonna exchange names and all that, was in El Nido. I'm gonna tell my side of it, and then you tell me your side because
Okay.
like a Quentin Tarantino kind of thing. So I was there with my girlfriend at the time, who was there for a DJ gig, and it was New Year's Eve. So I tagged along, and I think it was the first day that we were there, and we had lunch, and it was sushi on the buffet table and whatever. I don't remember the rest, but I remember there was sushi. And then when I ate, and you were the chef at the time, right? And then at that time, how many years have you been there already?
What year was that?
Shit, 2007.
Oh, that's the third year.
Your third year already. Okay,
Yeah.
either 2007. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So anyway, either 2007 or 2008.
Mm.
So
Oh,
anyway,
yeah.
when I ate the food, I'm like right away. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, this tastes different. It's familiar food that I know because it's a buffet. It has to be neutral food, right?
Mm.
But the taste was different. I'm like, what? What's this? I mean, I'm not kissing your ass, man. I'm like, that's my reaction. It's like, whoa, because me and my girlfriend at the time, we were foodies before the term foodie came along. I mean, and she was like, and she had the same reaction. She's like, oh, ano to? Bakit ibang klase yung dating nito? It's just regular Pinoy food or whatever it was. It was just generic buffet food, but with something. And then I go, and then every bite, every time, it's like the whole meal. I was like, oh man, I gotta meet the chef. I gotta meet the head chef who cooked this. And then I asked the waiter, and then he called me out, and then that's when we met. He came out, and yeah, man, I just had to meet you, man, because it was so good. It was so good, and it was so different. You had this twist that you put in there in every dish that made me like wonder. It was like ano to? Bakit iba? May iba eh. Pero ang sarap. So yeah, that's my side of it.
Yeah. Wow. 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 That's very quite that's quite detailed there. I mean I don't even remember the food you ate, but I don't even remember everything that I cooked there or in my life. But
Right.
um, I think I think okay. I met you, and it was a few months after Manuel had his honeymoon there. I think, if I'm not mistaken,
Uh,
Garda. Uh,
Probably, yeah. I
Probably.
don't know.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and when he was there, they were staff were like playing Wolfgang in every part of the resort, and he was getting. I was looking at his face; he was getting pissed, right? And I
Oh, okay.
and then I saw your name on one of the guests because every morning we have a 9 a.m. Corporate meeting for the day every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I saw your name. I said, "Oh man, I don't want that thing to happen again."
Oh,
So
okay, right.
so
Oh, okay, okay. I get it.
so
I
I
get
said,
it.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna. I don't want to be a creep, but I'm gonna go to this guy, and then I'm gonna, introduce myself, and then I'm gonna, while when I'm there, staff, when a boss is there or something, somebody, staff tend to back away a little bit. I think in every scenario, um, And then that's it. Yeah, I think and about the food, I think okay, that time in my life when I wasn't very I've not mentioned this to a lot of people.
Hmm.
I
Well,
wasn't
the whole
very
world's gonna know now, man.
yeah yeah the whole world's gonna know. It's good. It's good. It's in a good way.
Go, go, go. Yeah, go.
I wasn't very, I would say, very Pinoy in my outlook back before El Nido. I would say I was because I was Swiss trained, right? I was European trained and
Okay.
Asian trained. So and then I saw Palawan, I saw El Nido. I said, wow, there's nothing like this on earth, you know. I mean, I've been to Fulton Fish Market in New York. I've been to Japan. I've seen all this beautiful seafood all over the world. And when I
Right.
saw Palawan, I said, wow. And then I started loving local and then and local people and sustainability and everything. And then it changed me to start to become a Pinoy food focused chef. I think before it was a thing. I think I'm not even sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
I mean,
so
during those times, man. I mean, we'll talk about Anthony Bourdain in a bit, but I mean, that was when he was starting to get uh, popular, and not even mega popular yet. Well, he wasn't on the Travel Channel yet.
no, it was
So,
Life Food Network, right?
uh,
Life to Food Network.
he was on the Food Network,
Yeah.
you know. Pero I mean, but so he was kind of famous with the local Food Network people, but not like he didn't. He wasn't starting that big revolution yet of travel and food.
Mm.
So all these terms that you're talking about, they weren't existing at that time, 2007, you know.
Yeah, we have to thank him. You know, it's June 25. That's his birthday, and it's really also weird. Another famous man and very great person's birthday today, and
Hmm.
here I am, Wolf Gemores talking to me, and today is the birthday of the great Howlin' Wolf, Smokestack
Oh, wow.
Killing Floor.
Smokestack Lightning, baby.
Led
Backdoor
Zeppelin Lemon
Man,
Song wouldn't be Lemon Song without the Killing Floor.
bro. Howlin' Wolf is like of all the blues of all these bluesmen, but Robert Johnson, Muddy Waters, and they're all cool. But pare, see Howlin' Wolf, man. His
Yeah,
voice, bro, it's like it's like the devil, pare. It's like it's like he was the one in the crossroads with Robert Johnson, pare, with that voice.
yeah, yeah. Him and Buddy
Oh,
Guy.
man.
Him
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Buddy
Yeah,
Guy.
him and Buddy Guy, yeah, yeah.
Music
But
version of.
but 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 Howlin' Wolf is older, no?
Oh, yo, way. He died in the
Oh,
70s.
oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I love Howlin' Wolf, man. Yeah, happy birthday, Howlin' Wolf. And so anyway, let's talk about a little bit about your history. So how did you get into? Because like I said, uh, pre Bourdain, no one really cared about the like you said the back room of the restaurant. The back, what was your term?
Yeah, the back of the house. Yeah.
Yeah, the back of the house. No one really cared about that. I didn't care about it. It's like, but every time I go into a new restaurant or I'm always looking for the kitchen.
Mm.
I'm looking for the kitchen. I'm like looking. Okay, so who's cooking this food? Because like the restaurants here, they have a window and you can see the kitchen. Whereas before, it's like or maybe like a Chinese restaurant, you can't tell what they're doing inside because it's closed. It's like the mint. You can't go in there and see how they're cooking their shit, And so like I said, pre Bourdain, no one was really into this. So how did you how did you get into it? How old were you? And yeah, what's your story?
Oh, wow. Okay. That's very way pre-Bourdain. Okay. Uh,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I grew up
Yeah,
in a.
because I sorry, I look at the world, especially in the food as part of it, is pre Bourdain and post Bourdain.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I was fortunate first. You know, I thank God in the universe. I was fortunate to grow up in a family that's catering for LVN and Sampaguita back in the days, right? And I wasn't into it. I said, what's this thing? What's going on? Why is everybody going crazy in the kitchen, right? From grandmother to this and that. And my late grandmother, was half Portuguese, half Macau. So she had best of both worlds, like Europe and Asia, right? Including the temper. And I didn't care. I was into Bruce Lee. At that time, it was the 70s, right? Early 70s.
Yeah.
I was into the Green Hornet, Muhammad Ali, all this great Pele, the big three, the big three.
Right.
And I was an artist. I was apprenticed with the famous Mendoza brothers as a painter. So it was that.
Where is this? This is in Cebu?
That was in Cebu, yes, when we were living in Cebu. And then the growing up was half Cebu and half Quezon City. Project 6.
Okay.
Yeah. So, LV and Sampaguita, that was Quezon City, definitely. So,
right.
And then what Rizal said, you're gonna go back to where you came from, So I found myself in 1988 hired by the Swiss to be a graphic artist, So I was one of the first ones in the country to have a Mac, and people are like, "What's that? What's a Mac?"
Wow. Wait. So who are the Swiss? Who are these Swiss people?
When I say "quote unquote" the Swiss, which is what the local Philippine industry calls them, the Swiss is because they're a tight group of Swiss chefs. They open a company. Most people know them with Santis Delicatessen, right?
Right. Oh, okay.
But that's for retail. But they had wholesale companies. They had with them. They had 9 restaurants. That's where I learned. One was Asian, one was tapas, one was a steakhouse, one was Italian.
Yeah.
That.
So wait, there was the Swiss. Wasn't there a Swiss restaurant in Makati?
Yeah, that's the old Swiss Inn originally.
The Swiss Inn. Oh my God, dude. Oh, dude, that's like one of my childhood memories, going there.
Right. Original was in Paco.
Okay, I went to the one already in Makati, I think.
Right. Yeah, but they're not part of that. But they were supplying that. They were more on. They started out. Okay, my boss started out when he was brought here by Philippine Airlines to open an in-flight kitchen for PAL because the Pope was coming, I think.
This is 81.
Yeah, I think it was the first visit, I think. Yeah. So he started bringing in ingredients via the stewardesses and the flight crew and this and that for friends and expat friends here because they miss European food. And then he said, "Hey, why don't I open a deli?" So he did. And then he said, "Oh, why don't I open a restaurant to showcase this food?" So he did, La Primavera in Greenbelt.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's where I started, La Primavera. I didn't even know back then. I couldn't flip a pan when I joined them, in La Primavera. So I still don't eat in Italian restaurants to this day. Because for me, I don't know, it's going to sound, I'm going to sound like an asshole saying it, but for me, it's one of the easiest things to do. It's like my ABC,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree with that. I mean, that's. It's
my D4. It's my G4
peasant style food, man.
So I cook it at home. I love it. I would love to eat it. If friends invite me, or I would go with my daughter or whoever. But I don't go out of my way for that. So I started there. And then I started cooking in all their other restaurants. And then from there, when I quit after 13 years, I stayed with them for 13 years. Yeah. I grew up with them. And then I moved on to different hotels and restaurants. Locally, nationally.
Wow. So wait, so before you joined them, you never went to a school? You never went to culinary school? So you went right into the belly of the beast?
No, there was no culinary schools back then. In the Philippines.
Okay.
Nobody knew what a chef was. It was, you're a cook, you're a blue collar worker, right?
Right.
It happened twice to me when I was cooking there in La Primavera when I got off my shift. And this is a very Bourdain, no reservation story. when I would take a cab, there was no Grab back then. I would take a cab to go back to the head office, and the driver would say, "Oh man, you smell like food. You smell like grease and that," and he would kick me out. It happened twice.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Smell like a kitchen.
you smell like grease, smell like food, man. I haven't eaten yet. Get out.
That's funny. That's funny. So how about your international stints? Tell us about that.
Uh, well, one
Did
of
you
the
did you go on your own, or were you sent, or were you apprenticing, or what?
yeah, because like I said, I don't know. Okay, don't quote me on this, but I feel that I'm probably one of the last Pinoy cocineros who did not go to culinary school. So we all learned everything from apprenticeship and work, and mostly work. A lot of Pinoys before culinary schools learned from work, right?
Right.
I was lucky, probably enough, to work with the Swiss, and for me, it's the biggest, most fortunate education I've seen. I can even proudly claim or state that it's better than a lot of culinary schools. My 13 years with them, like my boss, one of my bosses, when I go to his office, he has behind him, behind his chair, behind his desk is a library of 2,000 cookbooks. The other one has 500 cookbooks. This one has 700 cookbooks. And I was like there for 13 years. I was like reading everything and asking them stupid questions, important questions, silly questions, everything. And I think it really fed my hunger, and I'm still hungry. But this was pre-internet days, there was no such thing as Googling things or Wikipedia. So it's either you learn from your peers, you learn from your masters, and yeah, that last line I firmly believe in any field, music, whatever, you need to have a master,
Right.
To become a master, you have a,
You need
like a Jackie Chan
to be a
thing.
Jedi. You yeah.
Yeah, every Jackie Chan movie, it always starts, the old Jackie Chan films, it always starts with him being beat up by his master, right?
Right.
Or the ending with that he becomes a Jackie Chan, right? Or the
Yeah.
Jackie Chan. So
Even in Kill Bill 2,
that's it. Yeah.
when Uma Thurman gets beaten up by the kung fu master.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a very
I think I think more than anything else, and unless you go to culinary school and where they're actual like masters, I mean, and really, not just run of the mill instructors, but actual, masters, and they're gonna chew you out, if you're not keeping up, and yeah, I mean, and since you mentioned the Swiss, it got me thinking. It's like, is there good? What is the cuisine of Swiss people?
Okay.
I never thought about it, and I don't know anything. I mean, maybe cheese. I mean, of course, cheese for sure.
chocolates.
Okay. Oh yeah, chocolates. But I mean, food, like warm food.
Well, there's a lot of food. Okay, we have to remember. Okay, Swiss food, for the uninitiated in geographical cuisine, you have to remember the country Switzerland is landlocked, right?
Right.
It's bordered on the north by Austria, Germany,
Right.
left by France, the south by Italy, and the east by the Eastern European countries, right?
Right. Yeah.
So every border has a different language or dialect. Every border has a different cuisine. They have 4 national languages. You will meet a Swiss guy living in the north with a German name and speaking German, and then you'll meet another Swiss guy from the south speaking Italian, eating Italian food,
Wow.
Swiss food, with very Italian ingredients and methods. And on the left, they're very Frenchy, vaudoise, where Nestle comes from. That's on the left, because Nestle is Swiss. You have to remember what Switzerland. Julius Maggi was a chef, where we get Maggi bouillon. Nestle was a chef. Knorr was a chef.
Wow. Really?
Swiss, man. They're all
And
Swiss.
it's pronounced Conor, not Nor.
Or yeah, yep. It's the beauty of the German language. You have to pronounce every letter. It's like Pinoy.
Okay.
Easier than English, in fact.
So Conor is German.
Yeah, Knorr. Knorr is Swiss, yeah.
Conor.
German.
Oh, Swiss German
Yeah.
or German Swiss.
Call them Swiss German. The people
Swiss German.
speak German, yeah.
Wow. Oh my God, I never knew that. So Nestle is Swiss, Conor is Swiss German, and then who's the other one?
Julius Maggie.
Maggie mo yun.
Yes.
Oh my God. I thought these were all local brands, dude.
Diba? That's Switzerland, man. That's Switzerland.
Wow. See?
Toblerone.
Oh my God.
Also, yeah, Toblerone. The
Oh,
Americans call
Toblerone. Yeah. Oh, okay.
it's Toblerone. He's also a chef. He's Swiss.
Oh,
And if you
really?
look at the mountain, which is Matterhorn, there's actually a bear in the logo in the mountain of the mountain, and because it's in Bern, he's from Bern, the canton
Bern.
of Bern, which is
Yeah, Bern. Yeah.
here. So
Wow.
music. There's also they have and it's a very funny side story. When I was
They
in the
do
Swiss,
they do the yodeling, right?
yeah, in the mountains, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was also fortunate that my chef, the one who really trained me and kicked my ass and was pouring béarnaise sauce on my head, throwing sausages in my face and this and that.
Oh my God.
So he's my brother now, we're like brothers now, like you and I, Wolf.
Right.
So, and he was a rocker as well, and it was very, I was very lucky that he was a rocker, and he would play this Swiss blues classic rock thing, and I said, "Who's that?" He said, "Oh, that's Polo Hofer." I said, "Who's Polo Hofer?" "Oh, he's the Mick Jagger of Switzerland." I said, "Who? What's the Mick Jagger of Switzerland doing in Switzerland?" Oh, they have a band. What was the name of the band? Polo Hofer and Schmetter band. Schmetter means wasak or syrah.
Okay. Oh
Right?
my God. Yeah.
And the Stones of Switzerland. You can Google that Polo Hofer. He died. He died like 4 years ago. And he's a huge character. He's like he can walk around Switzerland and everybody would know him.
Wow.
Yeah. Billy Cobham is living in Switzerland.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So now you mentioned music, and I wanna tell the listeners that the one thing that we also connected was music, and that you're a rocker and you like metal music, and you're actually a guitar player. You're an electric guitarist. So
Yeah.
was the electric guitar came before the cooking, right? I'm guessing.
Okay, when we moved to Cebu, because my parents were into banks, right? So we moved to Cebu in the 1970s, early. And then he owned Compostela Guitars, my late father. And
Oh,
Compostela Guitars, there were only two famous guitar shops or makers in Cebu back then. And it was Lilang's, and the other one is Compostela, which my father used to own. So I was there every weekend, what's going on, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I said, so I got one for my birthday when I was in grade school. And of course, I started, messing around, playing around, and then I learned songs. And then I really got into it. I got nuts. It was an acoustic. And then I had bands. And then we became very famous in Cebu.
wow.
I had to escape from, way up to college. I had to go up and down the fire escape of my college, of my school, because batch sections were following me to learn this riff from Jake Ely, learn this riff from Randy Rhoads or whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
Or Van Halen or this and that, and I had waist long hair, and then I stopped, and I became a session player for a lot of people. I think Joe Awayan, Miriam Pantig.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was one time when Dinosaurs played in Cebu, and I was there jamming with them. You remember Dinosaurs?
That's what's his name? Edmund? No, not.
Yeah, Edmund Fortuno. No.
No. Gosh, the other one, the guy that looks like Gandalf.
Ah, ah,
Gosh,
well,
what's
the
his
three
name
of them,
again?
Boy Camera, and the two
The
other.
guy with the long hair and the Fu
Yeah,
Manchu beard. Gosh,
yeah.
I forget his name.
So they were.
Anyway,
Yeah.
wow, I didn't know that about you. I mean, that band in school, that was a cover band, right?
Which one?
The one in school.
No, well, my first band was in high school. My first formal band was in high school, and we were playing Led Zeppelin and Sabbath, and our opening song was always rock and roll because of the drum intro, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Drum intro, and we were touring school halls and stuff like that all over Cebu. And
Wow.
yeah, and I was wearing braces, and before the guitar solo, I had to walk on the side of the stage, and somebody I was paying with a bottle of rum would remove my braces so I could do my solo and eat the strings like Jimmy and whatever
Oh my God.
like that, and
Damn. What was
sa-
your guitar?
yeah, because I was guitar, yeah. So
Yeah. No. What was your guitar at the time?
okay, that's a very funny question. My entire musical career, I never owned my own guitar, electric guitar. I think that's another thing with the modern age and the old age because we had to learn from records and cassettes, right?
Right.
So another hurdle for me during my time was um, every gig I had to get used to whatever guitar I was able to borrow.
Oh my gosh.
Like a few seconds before going on stage, like okay, it can be a Les Paul with a weird angle, very heavy. It can be a Strat, lighter, wider fretboard, whatever.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Oh my God. Really?
funny. Yeah, and then we played in Malaysia. We played in et cetera, et cetera. And eventually I became one of Randy Santiago's sidemen.
Holy shit, man! I didn't know this, dude.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you had a whole fucking adventure and career as a musician already before you started cooking.
Before, yeah, before. Then I cut my hair.
So what was the name of the band?
Oh, my first band was Cro-Magnon or Cro-Magnon or however you
Yeah, Cro-Magnon. Yeah, yeah.
before
Wow,
the
that's a cool
Cro-Mags
name, dude.
before the Cro-Mags came out. I was like into it. I was like the concept guy of the band. It's like, oh man, I was so much into prehistoric man and dinosaurs. I said, oh, these are the guys that discovered fire. We have to call ourselves that.
Yeah, yeah.
So we became that, and we were famous. And then the 2003, I came back to Cebu to teach in culinary schools. One of my culinary school gigs, and I found out all my students are famous already. All my guitar students are famous. I said,
Oh
wow.
wow.
I was so like a dad, like a dad, proud of his
Like
kid.
like who? Like who are some of the guys?
Some of them are called. There's one that's called Benji. He's like the Malmsteen of Cebu, uh, and many other guys. I don't remember all of
Yeah,
them.
yeah. Uh
Those were, if you remember Woodstock, you were not there.
huh. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so let's keep on talking about music, man. I mean, so what? So my idea of when as a Filipino, you if you were into classic rock and you did not grow up in that era, I always think that it was either you had hippie parents or you had a hippie uncle or aunt that got you into it. What's your story about of the rock and roll soul that you have?
Yeah, I think that's one. That's a given. That could be a given. But then there's this other source of inspiration and information, which is now the computer, right? The internet, right?
Right. No, but when you were coming up, I mean,
Oh, when I was growing up.
yeah. I mean, who influenced you to like all
Wow.
this music?
When I was growing up, like I said, I was, my dad owned Compostela guitars, and I was probably I don't know, second grade or something. I was too young to know or to recognize Don McLean buy two guitars from us. I didn't know this guy who played American Pie,
Don McLean bought
two guitars,
uh,
from Compostela
from
Guitars.
Costella. Wow.
I didn't know that. I was too young to know him, to recognize him, or to
Right.
who is Mr. McLean.
Yeah.
And I, back then, uh, when we were learning guitar, we had a jingle songbook, jingles, the jingle chord books, etc. And then you start off
Yeah.
with either folk music, something easy, or Beatles, or stuff like that, or Elvis
Uh-huh.
roll, and then punk, because chords, heavy
Yeah.
chord, and then my neighbor started playing Led Zeppelin, across the street. I said, "What is that? What is da 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 dan dan?" I said, "Wow, what's that?" And, hey,
Wow.
mom. I said, "Wow, that's like sex on the record, right? It sounds like sex. It sounds like lust. It's like what is?"
Yeah.
And then his name was Robert Plant. Is Robert Plant? That's sex on the record,
Yeah.
right? Nothing else.
Yeah. Dude, the Golden God, man.
So I started buying cassettes of Led Zeppelin and LPs, and then I started learning Queen, Deep Purple, and then it was the era of. I think it was also because I grew up in an era where live albums were the thing,
Yeah.
Those for every member of the band, which is lacking nowadays.
Yeah.
Live albums, and
Yeah.
so every musician back then were like, you have to be good because you're gonna have live albums and solos, man. That was
Yeah.
the
Right. Yeah. Like what were the live albums then? Made in Japan,
in Japan.
Kiss Alive,
Song
One
remains
and
the
Two,
same.
Song Remains the Same,
Live Killers,
Frampton Comes Alive,
yeah.
Queen
Even
Killers.
per album, the live Alice Cooper album, that was beautiful.
No. Oh, really?
Oh yeah, that was beautiful.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, man. So it wasn't your parents,
No, my parents were.
you
Well,
know.
my mom was a pianist. Was a pianist.
No, but
Uh,
I mean with the rock and roll.
well, it only got
Or
us
they
Elvis and the Beatles with them.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when I was growing up, all I heard in the house was Harry Belafonte and Dean Martin and um, Tony Bennett and Sinatra and stuff. So yeah.
Well, I had an uncle who passed away, uh, who helped me learn guitar easily, and he was so much into Jose Feliciano, right? And then I said, "Who is this guy? He's blind. Okay, so that's a challenge for me because I have vision and he's better than me, right?"
Right.
Well, say, as a young kid,
Right. Right.
that's what you're thinking. So I said, it's not possible. He's blind. He's better than me. So, okay, I have to be better. So then you practice, and then you learn, what is this song, Light My Fire? And then you discover the original was The Doors. And then you
Mm,
discover Dylan. And then you discover that there's a Hendrix. There's somebody called Jimi Hendrix who has a
right.
better version of Watchtower, and then from then on, it went on.
Man,
Black Panther.
do you remember, wasn't that a great feeling? Because I remember because the first time I really got into classic rock and roll was because of Miguel Ortigas. Because he had a record collection, he had all the Zeppelin albums, all the Iron Maiden albums. So, every time I'd go to his house, that's all we'd listen to. And I would discover and I would make tapes from his record collection. I would make, compilation tapes and all that. And then the more you dig, the more you go back in time. It's just all these discoveries of these bands and musicians, and it's just like, oh my God, where have you? It's like, where have you been all my life? Because I was a late bloomer. No one really taught me about classic rock. I did not know who Jimi Hendrix was until I knew who he was. You know what I mean?
We never even called it classic rock. We just called it rock.
Right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, they only started using using the term classic rock in the '90s when it
Yeah.
was really, it was 25 years old already. Um. So yeah, I mean that's good. So you also told me once before that in the kitchen you play loud music when you guys are working. Like I remember you said you would put on uh, uh, what's this Megadeth, not Peace Cells, but the other one, the one with Hangar 18.
No, we were playing Sabbath actually.
Oh, Sabbath. Okay,
We were
okay.
playing a lot of
So
Sabbath.
yeah. Talk about that, man. I mean, what were the tunes? What were your go-to tunes when when the restaurant was was on fire?
Basically, we only played uh, adrenaline. I would say adrenaline surging music. Sabbath, Ozzy, Led Zeppelin, Purple. When we're doing production, the restaurant is closed, right? So because the kitchen we start to work. Like for example, when we met in El Nido, I think that's when I told you that.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
that to you, I think you even heard it. I don't know. The music blaring from the kitchens. It
Oh,
was
right. Yeah.
yeah, because we start work at like 3 a.m. Some of us, and then 6 a.m. restaurant opens for breakfast, so we're
Yeah.
quiet, and then 10 a.m. it closes, and then we start production for lunch, and then lunch closes at 2 or 3, and then it's gonna reopen at 6. So you have this window from 2 or 3 to 6.
Uh-huh.
That's like kicking ass doing production for prep work for today, for tonight,
Yeah.
and tomorrow. And you're already dog tired from 4 a.m., right? So that's where the adrenaline pump music comes in, like
And it's the same crew the whole day.
more or less, you keep the rock stars in, you know,
Right.
you keep the rock stars in, or those who volunteer. I'm a very democratic chef, I never did the Ramsay thing, the Gordon
Right. Right.
Ramsay thing. Because everything I got, I said it has to stop there. So I was more into the father figure thing, and I'm teaching them, and I found ways where I can teach them food if I can teach them other things. I can teach them food by teaching them music, or movies, or literature, or anything
Uh-huh.
cultural.
So what's an example of that? How would you connect culture to teaching someone how to cook?
Well, for example, I was in okay, back to the El Nido thing. I was in El Nido. That time it was one of the poorest parts of the country. And unlike other parts of the country like Iloilo, Bacolod, Manila, Davao, Cebu, where everybody would gather, everybody would say, "Oh, my Lola's adobo is better than your Lola's adobo. You should taste my grandfather's this and that, whatever." They never
Right.
had. There was no culinary figure in every home in El Nido, in the town of El Nido back then. I don't know now. So
Oh,
yeah, so it's really hard teaching them. You can't just say, okay, here's a Caesar salad. Here's how to do a Caesar salad. Thank you, goodbye. You can't just do that.
yeah.
You can do it every day. You have to say, okay, this. It's a lot of patience and work, and while you're doing that, you have to be multidimensional. Otherwise, they get bored. You have to tell them
Right.
about how who Robert Plant is, for example. Chef, why are you always listening to this music? Oh, because this guy is that. Like our conversation right now. Oh, because I was in high school and then I heard Bark at the Moon and I said, what's that?
Right.
Or Randy Rhodes, I heard Mr. Crowley. I said, what's that? That's church organ. So I tell them stories because at first they laugh. The chef, church organ. I said, yeah, okay, wait, and then Mr. Crowley comes in, right? And then,
Uh,
right? Because I'm playing it at super loud volume, right? And
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
they stopped laughing, and then they said, "What is that? We've never heard it before." I said, "Yeah, like the
Wow.
food. Never seen it before." So at first, you laugh when I do this to kinilaw, and then you understand that in Italy they call it tiradito. It's a sushi, right? In Japan
Yes.
they call it sushi. In
Right.
Pinoy they call it kinilaw. In South America they call it ceviche, and in Italy they call it tiradito. So you have to be multifaceted, and so it's like music, it's like film, it's like everything else.
So yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense.
And
So
so good.
So yeah, I dig that approach. It's like you're giving them a history lesson on why that food is like that. It's just that you're just not cooking it. You're actually representing, well, we're not representing, but recreating a culture. Like, say, if you're gonna make I don't know, a Puerto Rican ceviche, then you are honoring the culture of Puerto Rico.
Mm.
You're just not making a ceviche, but you have it in your mind that, okay, I'm gonna specifically do uh, you know uh, a ceviche dish that is native to Puerto Rico, and it's like it's deeper. It's a deeper. That's when you parang. In. That's when love comes into play.
Mm.
Love and respect for that place where that dish came from. You know what I mean? It's like, so. Instead of the approach of Gordon Ramsay, where he just shouts at you until you break, it's like
Well,
your approach is more like, more soulful. You know what I mean?
yeah, because again, going back, I have to continue to what you just said right now. Um, if you teach them in a way, because if you teach them like through fear or through rote again and again, they're not. It's. I found out that if you teach them in a fatherly way, like adding a little bit of nostalgia and quips and proverbs in between
Hmm.
every lesson or every recipe. I mean, it makes them more interested, right? Because you've already taught them how. It's just like
Right.
any field, any technical thing like guitar or drums or art. You've already taught them the how. It's now is the time to teach them the why.
Why?
Why is the most important thing, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course. Yeah. The reason for being.
Yeah,
That's the why. It's like that. That's what I mean about. That's what I mean about pre-Bourdain and post-Bourdain.
mm. Yeah. He was
Pre-Bourdain
talking.
don't give a shit, but now so many people give a shit. It's like so many people give a shit about how spaghetti and meatballs. It's like, even like you said, the most simplest thing to make is spaghetti and meatballs. And then, but every time I go to an Italian restaurant, and if I'm gonna feel like, okay, I'm gonna try their spaghetti and meatballs, because if they can't do a good spaghetti and meatballs, then what the fuck for, di ba? Why have a restaurant when you can't even have a really good spaghetti and meatballs that is kumbaga, your family's recipe? You know, In- instead of, it's like when you go to Esbarro, it's great lasagna, but it's, generic lasagna. It's nothing, you know. And then going back to, like, when I first tasted your food, I remember it being nothing very extraordinary. I mean, the food itself, the dishes. But when I bit into it, when it hit my taste buds, there was something different about it. Right away, I knew there was something. It's like, whoa, this is different, man. It's so slight, but I can feel it in the back of my tongue. And before that, I'd be like, oh, pre-Bourdain, I'd be just like, oh, sarap, sarap na pagkain. But post-Bourdain, I'm just like, I have to know, I have to meet the chef. That's why I wanted to meet you, because if it was a pre-Bourdain thing, I was like, okay, it's good, whatever, and then move on.
Yeah, because Bourdain showed the world when he was alive, when he was doing all the shows, the why. There's a story behind every salt grain, behind every bite, behind every platter, behind every ingredient, right? Behind every
Yes, yes,
technique. There's
yes.
a reason why, right? And there's a story and a backstory behind everything, So and that's very important, it's like
Yeah.
when you're a dad. I always tell my students, and my staff before, a simple explanation would be when you're a dad and then suddenly and you have a daughter and then suddenly one night there's a knock on the door and it's a kid, it's a young boy who's gonna pick up your daughter. So what does the Pinoy dad do? You sit him down, you ask him questions. What does your father do? what province are you from, what religion do you have, etc., etc., etc. So it's kind of like subliminally a control thing that you know
Right.
a lot of back info about this thing, about this person, this ingredient, where did kind of carbonara come from. So the resulting thing would be the application would be more respectful, much better. Um, there's more love. There's a love that develops
Yes.
in the process because in the approach as well because of the backstory.
Yeah, the backstory, and you give a shit.
Yeah,
You actually care about the backstory, and that for me is the love. That's the love. It's like when you care about, you know, yeah, about everything, so that when you finish the dish and you look at it and like, and then it, you know, it makes it deeper. I guess you have a deeper connection with the food. You know what I mean? I'm sure you know what I mean.
yeah, of course. Like
So was this your mentality pre Bourdain?
that was our mentality in the industry. Because I grew up with these classical chefs,
Wow.
who
Yeah. Yeah.
have
Yeah.
who, the '90s was when the word fusion came out, right? The '90s, yeah.
Right.
So they were never into that, and for them it was like, why? There's a camp that says no, there's a camp that says sure, let's try it. So it's two camps, and then I had to understand both, and I still do, and it made me develop my own belief and understanding. I think if you can call it that, um, that everything is in fact fusion. Everything in the world is fusion.
Yes. 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 Oh man, that's great, man. That's great that you said that because I'll make a point later. Let's just keep it here. What was I going to say? So yeah. So that mentality of caring about where the food comes from that you experience with those groups of people, the masters, was the mentality of Bourdain because he lived in that world. And what he did was like you said, the back room, he brought it to the front. And that do you remember? Have you read the Kitchen Confidential?
Yes.
So what was your? I mean, we can talk about Bourdain now since we're celebrating his life here, and what better way, talk about Bourdain than with you, because Bourdain is somewhat like you. He's a chef. He cares about the food, and he's a rocker. So it's like, I mean, that's how I really became a true blue fan of him, because as he didn't really he never said, okay, this is me. He was just himself, and then he started wearing Ramon shirt. I'm like, why does he wear Ramones? And then eventually he said, yeah, Ramon, I love the Ramones, they're my favorite band. I'm like, holy shit, this guy's cool. you know so what was how did you discover Anthony Bourdain?
How did I discover Anthony Bourdain? Okay. Um, as I mentioned earlier, I think I mentioned that all my mentors had like thousands of books. So I said, okay, if I have to be like them, I have to collect books as well during the pre-internet days. So every day before leaving work or going to work, I have to pass by the bookstores and stuff. And then I saw Kitchen Confidential, and there was a photo of a guy in front wearing aprons. I said, okay, try it, and I read it, and honestly, I mostly I remember the sex scenes.
Yeah.
The
First-
side stories, the
yeah,
drum,
yeah.
you know, um, and then
Did
when
you did you relate to him?
in a lot of ways, in terms of the hardships and the culture of his time and my time, I think more on that.
Right.
Yeah, because he was a chef, and he was talking about why a bolognese should be a bolognese. He was into that. He was
Yeah,
about
yeah.
ingredient should speak for itself. As every real chef would do that. You don't fuck around. Sorry for the F word, F bomb.
No,
You
no,
don't
hey,
you don't fuck around with the ingredients. a carrot has to taste like a carrot, a potato has to taste like a potato, So it's the
Right.
same like music, I mean, when I hear a guitar, I mean, okay, I'm gonna sound really old right now. If I hear a guitar that sounds like a, but for me, it's like why,
Like a
So
what? You got cut off. Like a guitar that sounds like what?
the trumpet,
Oh.
for example, I mean, I respect Alan Holdsworth and whatever
Right,
gear or
right.
effects they're using. I don't know if you remember before. I think last time we met, I had two bags in both hands, and I
Mhm.
gave away my effects. Yeah,
Oh, right. You
yeah,
gave it to Carlo and all of them, right?
yeah. I gave it to them, and I said,
Yeah.
it's just the purity of things, and it's
Yeah.
also time when I it was the time, it was a period, it was a dark period. Okay, this is now a confession. It was a dark period where I quit music. Strangely, very strangely, looking back.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because I was there was a time when I was really crazy about music. I was able to play Paco de Lucia and stuff like that. I developed tendinitis. I was playing 10 hours a day, and then I had a baby girl, and I would tell the her nanny to, okay, bring her across the street to the neighbors. I don't want her playing here because I'm practicing. I was such an asshole.
Oh.
And then one morning I woke up. I said, why have I replaced my daughter with music? So I said, no, this is wrong. So, and then
Oh.
a full 180 or whatever you call it, and I said
360.
60, and I said, hey, I have to be a father. I am a father. I have to be a father. So I was a father, and I'm still a father, and I love being a father.
Yeah.
And I'm slowly going back to music. So 2017, when we had our high school reunion, and the entire 300 group was looking for me to play with the band, I was hiding up in the penthouse of the building, in
Uh-huh.
a warehouse. I said, no, 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 I quit. Don't let me play. I'm not going to play. I quit.
Right.
And after
Oh.
3 times, they were looking for me. They were pleading. They were begging 3 times for me to play. And then I started thinking, oh man, I'm gonna sound like an asshole if I keep saying no. Like I'm the biggest shit in town. So I said,
Yeah.
okay, yes, I'm gonna go down and play. And you have to remember, 2017. I haven't touched a guitar physically since 2008.
Oh my gosh.
So
Do you have a guitar? You have your
Not
own guitar now?
mom's house, not in my mom's house. I have a Strat collection in Manila.
Oh, okay, okay. So you don't have to borrow guitars anymore, huh?
No, I don't. Because I didn't
Well,
have
that's cool.
back then.
Well, that's cool. I mean, that's cool. I mean, I think you made the right decision. You have to be a father first, and now that your daughter is older, and she can, she can think for herself and all of that. I mean, you can do your passion again.
You know what she did? It's so funny what she did. When she
Uh-huh.
found out that I quit because of her, she came to me and she had a very sad face on. And then she said, Dada, don't quit music because of me. So we went out. She took me to Alabang Town Center, and she brought me to a music store and said, okay, she said, pick the strings, pick the strap, pick the chords and the jacks and the guitar picks.
Uh-huh.
Go back to guitar playing. So I'm back. So
That's cool, man. See, I
starting,
mean,
start.
isn't that great that it's like full circle.
Yeah, it is.
You sacrificed something for your daughter,
Mm.
and then your daughter, without you telling her, naturally comes to you. It's like, Dad, I want you to play guitar. I know that you sacrificed for me, so go and have fun. That's great, dude. That's fucking awesome, man. You know, and then to talk about your relationship with your daughter when excuse me, before the lockdown, you were very active on Facebook, with with uh, with things that you would cook for your daughter, and then you would take a picture and you would post it, and it's just this beautiful photo that looks like a restaurant dish, but and then you would put the story on the description of the photo, and it's a conversation between you and your daughter, and then so going back again, it's the backstory of that dish that you. It's not like some cheap, the way I do it, or maybe Instagram people would just take picture of whatever food is in front of them, even if it's just a hamburger, and it's just okay, you're eating a hamburger. But with your story, it's like with your photos, yeah, the photo of the food is awesome. The food looks so delicious, but then when you read the story on the side, it it just makes it deeper, and then you feel the love that came into that dish, and then the relationship with your daughter. So yeah, I think Bourdain was successful in putting out that kind of relationship of people to food, and now people are actually more respectful of food because of that.
It's very human, you know. Food is very human. It's the only art form. It's the most intimate art form next to music. It's because you ingest it. It's the only art form you ingest.
Yes, you literally ingest.
Yeah, music you ingest, but this one you ingest, and because food can either heal you or kill you, right? So
Yeah,
just like
exactly.
music, yeah,
Yeah.
just like music. And then I heard from you've heard of Charlie Trotter, right? The great Charlie Trotter of Chicago, the late great Charlie Trotter.
Of Chicago the
Okay,
band.
Charlie Trotter. There were only three people that can back in the 90s. There were only three people that can walk around Chicago and be recognized by Chicagoans, right? And
Oh,
one of
okay.
them is one of them is Oprah. One of
Uh-huh.
them is Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Third one was Charlie Trotter. Charlie
Char-
Trotter was in the opening scene of that Julia Roberts movie where she was a wedding planner or something like that, and the voice was screaming in the opening scene. Huh? He was screaming like, "If you don't do it right, I'm gonna kill you and your entire family." It was about a chef plating food, right? So it was so
Right.
fun. So anyway, Charlie Trotter is one of the great chefs of Chicago. He was he was one of the early celebrity chefs before Bourdain, before everybody, right?
Hmm.
And he said something that I still believe in. I still laugh at, and it's still funny, but it's the truth. And
Yeah.
there are only two things in a human being's life, two activities in a human being's life, where all the senses are used simultaneously.
Hmm.
One is eating, and one is making love.
Right.
Because when you make love, you taste, you smell, you touch, you hear, you
Yeah. Everything.
everything. So it's the same as eating, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. That's sometimes I've had meals that were better than some sex I've had. Dude.
Either
Yeah.
that's really good food or really sad sex, man.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing like sex, or sex with the wrong person, or just like an unhygienic person. You're like, oh, dude, come on, fuck this, man. Anyway, so anyway, let's go back to that fusion topic. And so I have this uh, this philosophy about Filipino cuisine. Okay, and then I thought about this when Bourdain did his first Pinoy episode, the first one when he went to Pampanga with who's the guy there in Pampanga?
Uh, wow, I forgot. Tip of my tongue.
Yeah,
Uh,
well,
yeah.
well, yeah, that guy. And they were discussing Kapampangan food, sisig, and whatever else. And the guy said that uh, Pampanga is the food capital of the Philippines. So right away when he said, I'm like, whoa, 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 man, wait a minute, wait a minute. You know, I've traveled. I've been fortunate enough to travel the Philippines, and yeah, Pampanga food is good, but so is Ilonggo food, so is Bacolod food, so is Cebu food. I mean, so it just got me thinking. It's like, wait a minute, there's really no food capital in the Philippines,
Mm.
but I think that the Philippines itself is one of the food capitals of the world.
It is. Yeah. You're
You
right.
know what I mean?
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
So it's like you can't say food from Pampanga will represent the Philippines, or food from Ilo alone will
Yeah.
represent. It's like the whole thing, the combination of all those foods is Filipino food. And I think if only, I don't know. It's like somehow it hasn't been recognized as such. But I feel I totally 100% back the idea that just like Barcelona, or just like Spain, just like Japan, just like not even China, maybe Hong Kong, or or Mexico. I mean, Philippines is up there, dude.
Oh yeah. Very much.
So what do you think about that?
Um. Okay. About the Pampanga thing, what he said, the guy said, and I forget his name. I'm sorry. I have to disagree with what he said.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
agree with you, and I'm sure I agree with a lot of Filipinos all over the country who say, you know, every Filipino food is great.
Yeah.
Um, I'll answer your question with a story, a short story. I don't know if you remember a few years back, there were two Polish bloggers, and they came to the country without asking for a guide, without research, and you take a flight from Poland, you arrive in Pasay, in the terminal, the airport, and you get off. Of course, you eat Pasay food, right? And then you go to Makati, you eat Makati food. And
Right.
then they went all over the country. They went to Pinatubo, Mount Pinatubo. They asked the local guide, "What do you eat?" So the guy, in a very innocent way, answered, "Oh, I just eat my skyflakes and instant noodles, right?" So they started
Yeah.
writing that's the food of the Philippines, right? And then the
You
title
should.
of the blog was, "I'd rather die of hunger than eat Filipino food." Do you remember that?
Oh my God! No, I
That
don't remember that.
Yeah, it came out like several years ago, and of course,
Shit.
Philippines being the social media king of Asia
You're right.
was seething with anger, and so I was letting it simmer down for a while, for a week, I think, and then I made a post about it. I replied in Twitter and Facebook, and I think Instagram as well. I don't remember. I said, "Dear Manileños, when you go out for lunch from school or from work, what do you eat? You eat fast food burgers, you eat fast food pizza, you eat this and that,
Yeah.
okay? But the people from the provinces or in the provinces, in La Union, in Davao, in Cebu, in Iloilo, in Bacolod, in Siquijor, in
Mm-hmm.
Ilocos, when they get out of class, they get out of school or work, they eat their own food, right? So
Right. Yeah.
whose fault is it? So that also answers why a lot of people are asking in social media or within themselves, or asking how come Filipino food is not up there with Japanese food or Thai food or
Yeah, dude. Yeah, yeah,
Korean.
yeah.
Because it's not because of the world, it's because of us.
Yes,
You know,
exactly, pare.
what do we cook at home? I cook Filipino food at home, but
Right.
how many people cook Filipino food at home?
Yeah.
Number two, how many Filipino food do they know? You can only count with one hand, maybe, and that's
Yeah.
sad. That's sad.
Chicken adobo,
Yeah.
tocino, pure foods corned beef. I mean,
Yeah.
see, I mean, you know what I mean. I mean, me saying pure foods corned beef. I mean, Filipinos love corned beef, but that's not Filipino food. So,
Diba?
yeah.
So again, with the Kapampangan thing, I was once in a room. It was an award. It was a night. It was a night tribute night for Bourdain. It was a dinner for Bourdain. It was held in Manila, in
Uh-huh.
Makati, and I was.
Did you ever meet Bourdain?
I never met Bourdain, but I met his staff because I went there and ate in
Uh-huh.
Lehal.
Oh, you ate
That
in
was
Lahal.
yeah,
Wow.
restaurant. And then okay, during that dinner in Makati, I was in a room full of food writers and bloggers, right? And
Mhm.
I'm sure they're listening right now. And I think a third of them were Kapampangans. And then okay, that episode you told me about Bourdain going to Pampanga, eating sisig, this and that. And
Yeah.
then I said to my seatmate who happened to be Pampanga, and I said, dude, you know sisig is not originally yours, right? And he was pissed.
Shit.
He was so pissed. And I said, you know, sisig only came about after the war, after the Second World War, you
In the
know,
Philippines.
in the Philippines. Because,
Okay.
when you have a global war, when you have a war in general, you know, there are no borders anymore. People are everywhere. People are escaping here, escaping there,
Right, right, right.
transplacing themselves, transplanting themselves wherever they need to survive or be safe, right?
Right.
So, so there were a lot of Ilocanos in Pampanga, in the border of Tarlac, and they all went down from Ilocos, and they missed dinakdakan, so they cooked dinakdakan.
So what? Wait. So for our listeners, what is dinakdakan?
Okay, the original dinakdakan, contrary to what a lot of people see now on social media, where they fry the pork mask or the pork face, it's not.
Right.
Okay, first you boil the pork face with the skull in it, and then you remove it from the face, from the skull. You debone it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you grill it, or you throw it on live embers, as in really, really blackened, and then you scrape some
Wow.
off, some parts you leave on, and then, of course, when it's cooled down, right, you can't really handle it when it's super hot, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
and you slice it thinly or coarsely, and then you make an aioli or a mayonnaise using the boiled brain of the same pig,
Oh my God.
because that's fat, right? So you can make a
Yeah,
mayonnaise
dude.
of it.
Yeah.
And then they have basi vinegar, and they have calamansi, and fuck tons of white pepper, and they make a really sharp vinaigrette out of it. And then they dress the grilled pork face, and then they put it on a plate, and then they shred white onion on top of it. That's dinakdakan.
Wow.
It's beautiful, right? It's three
Yeah.
ingredients, but it's super beautiful, right? It's perfect. So they brought it
Yeah.
there, whole dish, and then the locals said. So they started opening after the war. They started opening. The Ilocanos started opening their own places, their own eateries for themselves. And the locals in Pampanga and Tarlac said, "Oh, let's try this. Let's try this." But the Pampanga
Ah.
history, Pampangans already had their history of a salad, a vegetable salad that they called sisig. The word sisig is a soured vegetable dish, or a pickled vegetable dish,
Right.
warm. So they said, "Oh, we love dinakdakan. The Ilocanos brought it here, but we want it hot." So they put it on a sizzling tray. They chopped it. They removed the tedious process of making an aioli using the pork brain.
Uh-huh.
They just put calamansi, chili, black pepper, and raw.
Egg.
onions. That's it. There is no
Wow.
there is no egg in real sisig, man.
Yeah, 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 that's already Manila sisig.
That's old food already.
Yeah. Wow, I did not know that,
So
bro.
that's, dinakdakan has been around for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
You know,
Do the
I have to
Ilocanos take
apologize
credit
to
for
the
it?
Pampangans here listening to us. Sorry.
Well, it's
I
the
love
truth,
you
eh?
all, man. I love you all.
Yeah. So wait, so do the Ilocanos do they say now, hey man, come in, we're the ones who invented sisig, not you?
Yeah, some of them don't care.
Yeah, some
Most
of them don't care. Yeah.
Because if you go around the Philippines, I mean, I did, and I still do, going around learning, relearning, and learning all the food in the country, and then you go to Ilocos, which is the biggest one, Norte and Sur. Just Norte and Sur, it's gonna take you at least 2 years minimum to
Wow.
taste everything. Yeah, it's huge,
Wow.
huge.
Wow. So
You know,
wait,
like,
okay. So let's go this route now. Let's go like what are the foods of the provinces that you would uh, let's say the international food delegation says, okay, Chef Ramon, make your case for the Philippines being a food capital of the world. Let's see. So make let's say a list of 10 provinces and their food that you would represent as like let's say in Japan, okay, sushi, sashimi, udon, and whatever, and then in Spain, tapas, and then whatever the food. So what would your thing be?
well, there's a lot. It's innumerable. Like for example, again, Ilocos, I would put ata-ata in there. Ata-ata,
Ata
ATA,
ata.
ATA, and it
Yeah.
sounds like the Star Wars thing, right?
Yeah, the at yeah.
ATA, yeah, yeah. So ata-ata is a breakfast dish of raw chopped beef dressed with bile dressing. Mapait, no? It's bile.
Yeah.
No? So it's raw beef. It's like carpaccio, right? It's like
Okay.
what's the famous chopped beef dish? Uh,
Uh,
yeah, beef tartare. It's like
oh
beef,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but it's for breakfast in Ilocos.
Oh my gosh. So
Okay,
is there a sauce?
yeah, the dressing is made using bile,
Oh my god.
and you know the famous Hawaiian poke.
Yeah.
That's from the Ilocanos.
Oh right.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
Be- because poke poke. The famous Ilocano dish of poke poke,
Oh my
which is
god.
which is, which is charred eggplant, peeled, chopped, tossed with egg and tomatoes.
Right.
That's poke poke, right?
Yeah.
Um, that because of the sound the knife makes on the chopping board.
Oh, okay.
So when they brought it, because the first farmers in agriculture people in Hawaii were the
Yeah.
first immigrants were Ilocanos.
Ilocanos, yeah.
Yeah, there's still a lot of Ilocanos there.
Oh, yeah. And they don't even say that they're Filipino. They'll just say I'm Ilocano. I'm not Filipino. I'm either Hawaiian or Ilocano.
Pinoy should be very proud of their own. Like for example,
I know.
Erie. IRRI. Okay,
Yeah.
every year Erie develops a new strain of each type of rice for every country
Okay.
because every year the hoppers, the grasshoppers, the pests, the locusts, they
Right.
also evolve every year that they're resistant
Insecticide.
to the new strain of rice grain. So they
Oh.
kill the rice grain, right? So it's
Yeah.
an ongoing battle every year. It's an annual battle. So without us, because there was a time in history when all the rice grains were dying because of the varieties were getting smaller and smaller because of these hoppers, right? So
Mhm.
so the Ford and Rockefeller Foundation they opened Erie in the Philippines to fight that, and because of Erie, because of the Philippines, India has basmati, Italy has arborio for risotto, Spain has rice for the paella,
Wow.
sea rice and everything. It's because of us.
Wait. So wait. So wait. What are you saying? So those rice.
Survive
Uh,
because of us.
they were grown in the Philippines.
Well, they were fixed in the Philippines because
They were
they're
fixed in the
die.
Philippines.
Because all the rice strains were dying. The varieties
Right.
were dying. Only Japonica and Indianicus were left.
Wow.
Short grain, Indianicus is the long grain. So that was before the age of machinery, industrialization, industry age, industrial age.
Right.
So when they developed tractors and these mechanical threshers and harvesters, when they when the tractor, right, the tractor goes to the
Yeah.
field of Japonica, which is a short plant with short grains, humihiga lang. It just lies down. because it's too short for the truck.
Wow.
And then the Indianicus was too tall, so
Yeah.
the machines won't work. So Erie developed new grains of rice, new plants.
Wow.
We are feeding the world.
When did this happen?
Oh, back in the 40s,
So
before the war and after the war. But Erie was developed in 1950s, I think.
wow, wow, that's amazing.
Again, that's the why. That's the why of
That's
Bourdain.
the why. Exact. That's the why. You have to give a shit about the why.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on with the food stuff. So I would add, of course, from my heritage, I would lapas bachoy, like hands down, up there in that list.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, what
I
what else would you? I mean, because I'm not aside from Ilonggo food, and I'm not well versed in whatever. Like my idea of Cebuano food is just Chinese ngoyong, which is fucking amazing, but that's all I know. So yeah, you take the reins on this.
Okay, there's another noodle soup in the country that's really, really underrated. It's for me, it's up there with the ramens and the bok choys and everything. It's called I forgot the name. It's in Bicol. Um, it's a famous Bicolano soup, noodle soup.
Wow.
Okay, it only opens. The shops only open at 7 a.m. And okay, the broth is like if you have to remember, the broth is like mami. It's a thin broth. The
Yes.
noodles are like mami noodles. But then they make a sauce out of pork brain, right?
Uh,
And then they put it on top. It's a thick sauce. They put it on top. Ah, okay. And
uh-huh.
then they have a pig's head that's boiled.
Right.
Then they shred it with their fingers and they put it on top of the pork brain sauce and the mami noodles and everything.
Oh my god.
And then they have a chili sauce using prawn heads. And then
Oh
they have
my.
egg.
Oh
They,
my god. The
they
the
cut
the the,
around
the
on top. And they
oh
call
my
it dish kinalas. Because kinakalas, right?
Talas? Yeah, yeah,
Kinakalas
yeah.
head of the pork, right?
Right,
So
okay.
for me, that's a tricycle driver breakfast. That's one of the best things in the country, man.
Bro. Oh my god. It's called kinalas?
Yes.
Oh my god. See,
There's so
man.
imagine if every household in the country, or even 60%, would be cooking this type of food.
Yeah.
Kids, the dad or the mom would say, "Hey, kids, today would be Pampanga. Tomorrow will be Bicol or Naga."
Oh,
It's amazing. Right?
yes. It's amazing. That would be amazing.
That's my dream,
That would be fucking amazing, man.
right? I mean,
Wow.
if you go to Hanoi, you've
Mm-hmm.
been to Hanoi, right?
No, I've never been to Vietnam
You
yet.
should go to Hanoi. It's my new Bangkok. For me, it's my new Bangkok for food.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow. Wow.
it's Bangkok
Okay.
without the heat.
I've been to Bangkok, so I understand what you're saying.
So you go to Hanoi, and I spent almost a month there, and there's literally not a single
Alexa light
brand
on.
name, a sign, not a single sign of a brand name for food that I've seen. Nothing. It's all mom and pop. It's all family places. It's all local.
Yeah.
And that's my dream, for the country to go back to that.
Yes, right?
Post COVID-19, we have to go back,
Yeah.
give the businesses back to the people.
I mean, yeah, it's like when I go through, like, let's say, Green Hills Shopping Center, and then I pass by a crepe. Crepes. What the fuck, crepes? Are you serious, crepes? Can't we have like fucking Chinese moyong somewhere in Manila, di ba?
Right.
And not have to go to Chinatown, you know, you know, and then so yeah, like yeah, I mean that would be awesome, man. I mean if and so what other food would you put in that list?
Like all the kinilaws of the Visayas. There's so many kinds of kinilaws, and it's so funny. When I was in Peru last August or September to learn ceviche and learn their country's cuisine, I realized there's a huge connection between our kinilaw and their ceviche. Because they serve their ceviche with crisp corn and boiled camote.
Uh-huh.
And in Cebu, you serve kinilaw with boiled camote. It's the same.
Yeah.
The difference is most Visayan kinilaws always employ coconut milk and green tomatoes. We
Uh-huh.
will never use red tomatoes in our kinilaw.
Right.
Yeah. So there's kinilaw. There's what other dishes? Oh, there's a lot of people that are turned off by dinuguan.
I fucking love dinuguan, man.
Okay, the thing with dinuguan is it's like chocolate. Chocolate and dinuguan, they share the quality of, in the sense that it's either good or shit.
Right.
There's no middle line for dinuguan or chocolate, right?
Right.
It's unlike sinigang where it's okay sinigang. It's okay, you're still gonna eat it, right? But
You're
dinuguan,
right.
it has to be a really good dinuguan. And then in Bulacan and Nueva Ecija, the only two places where you can find the best version of dinuguan. It's called
Where
uh,
again? Where again?
Bulacan
Uh-huh.
and Nueva Ecija.
The whole of Bulacan?
Oh. It's called tinumis.
Inumis.
It's a dinuguan that uses coconut milk to cook the pork
Uh-huh.
and then cook it down until the sweet oil of the coconut milk surfaces on top
Uh-huh.
and the whiteness disappears. So it's back to the original blood color, right? Brown.
Oh, okay.
But the sweetness of the coconut milk is there.
Oh my God.
And they put a souring agent using tamarind and tamarind leaves on
Oh
top.
my God.
The best dinuguan ever, man, for me,
Wow.
right?
And
And I
and
can
and
go
and
on.
and, and these are in
This is in Bulacan and
and
Nueva Ecija.
these are served in restaurant in Bulacan. Wow.
Yeah.
How
It's
about
amazing.
let's go south. Southern Philippines.
Southern Philippines, oh, there's a lot. There's biaring, which is a kinilaw using prawns by the Mara. Okay, so the
Uh-huh.
Maranaos are like the hippies of Mindanao, right?
Oh,
The
okay.
manok, the colorful vintas, the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
kulimutang. These are all
Yeah.
Maranao, right? From Lanao,
Right.
all around
Lanao.
the
Yeah.
lake. So they have this fantastic food. Like they have influences from Malaysia, like rendang, beef rendang,
Yeah.
rendang,
Uh-huh.
and they have this culture of food called pastel, where
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
they wrap the
Pastel,
rice,
yeah.
the ulam in banana leaves. You just pick it up on your way to work and eat it with your fingers.
Uh-huh.
And for me, you know, we've been environment friendly before environment friendly came into fashion, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's pastel. And they have amazing curries. They have amazing kakanin all over Mindanao. Um, they have this version of um, all over Mindanao. They have this ginataan.
Uh-huh.
Like the bilo-bilo and everything. The Tagalog.
Yeah.
In Pampanga, they call it sampelot. In Cebu, in Visayas, they call it binignit. In Mindanao, they call it tabirak.
Uh-huh.
Tabirak is all the root crops chopped, boiled with rice, sago, cassava, landang, coconut milk, lemongrass, ginger, sugar,
Yeah.
and
Oh
you have
my
this
God.
beautiful rainy afternoon soup. Amazing,
Oh my God. My
right?
gosh.
We have so
So
much things to offer, man. The
I
country.
know, man. I know. Gosh. I mean, so how about in the Muslim food? Is there anything interesting?
Oh, there's a lot. There's they cook a lot. They cook with ash. They
Uh-huh.
burn coconut husk
Right.
until it's charcoal, and then they smash it and pulverize it, and they
Uh-huh.
use it to thicken the sauce of the uh, tinola. They call it tiula itum.
Uh-huh.
There's
So
so many dishes, yeah,
so the charred coconut husk is in the soup,
in the broth, yeah, in the
in the
soup,
broth.
yeah.
Wow.
So it's black.
Wow.
Oh, oh, there's another thing that you can be proud of with the country, man, and all the listeners, all the Pinoy listeners out there. If
Uh-huh.
I may, when the Spanish galleons left Central and South America on their way back to Europe, they passed by the Philippines, right? So one of the stops, aside from Bataan, was Cavite City. The famous port there with the
Oh
American.
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yes. Uh-huh.
Cavite City. Yeah. So Cavite City had Spaniards before who were looking for to cook food with saffron, and we do not have saffron agriculturally speaking.
Right. Uh-huh.
So they used kasuba, and then they started using turmeric because we were also Indian before. 2/3 of the country was Indian, was Hindu before, um, and then the Spaniard masters were eating the squid, leaving only the entrails for the servants. So the servants started cooking their food with the squid ink.
Ah.
So the Spaniard masters saw it and they said, "Oh, let's try it." And then they said, "Oh, wow, it's delicious! Rice with squid ink, noodles
Uh-huh.
with squid ink, soup with squid ink."
Oh no way. Are you serious?
And they brought it back to Europe.
Oh.
So everything, paella negra,
Oh.
risotto, everything came from us.
Oh my
The squid.
God. Are you serious? Is this for real?
This is for real.
Oh my God. Wow.
We should be proud as Pinoy, man. Eat
Gosh.
Filipino food.
I'm so proud, man.
Yeah.
That's why that I came to that conclusion. It's like the whole Philippines is a food capital of the world. It has to be up there with Japan and Spain, man.
Mm.
But like you said, the talangka
It's actually the government as
is
well.
just
Yeah.
yeah, that too. But I mean, like I said, like what that guy from Pampanga said. It's like Pampanga is there's that hint of hubris. It's like haven't you tasted lapas batchoy? Don't you love lapas batchoy? Don't you love dinuguan? Don't you love other food? I mean,
Hmm.
how can you say that Pampanga food is the one that's going to represent? And another example would be, it's like when you're outside the Philippines, like the Filipino stores here in California. When you go inside, it's not just Kapampangan food. It's all.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
all, man. It's
Mm.
all. When you see the turo turo, you'll have some Tagalog food, some Visayan food, and some Mindanao food. It's not just one. So that's Filipino cuisine, man. I really think that you know those two Polish guys would come back and actually ask people and not just wing it, because that was their mistake. They just winged it. Anyway, to conclude, since we're talking about uh, that, and then the two Polish guys, excuse me, you yourself went on a journey. You came here to the States. You visited me here. We ate in some places, and then you went on to Texas, and then I think you went to Manhattan, and then you went to Switzerland to learn how to make cheese, and it's all in your Facebook page. All your adventures. When the lockdown is finally over, what do you want to do?
Oh, I'm gonna continue my Cebuano food research because I stopped like midway. I was doing it since last year. I'm visiting every town in Cebu with a friend I just pay for gas, right? So for him to drive me, because he also loves to eat and learn. So, and I
Right.
document everything. I talk to the manangs and everything, and I'm gonna make a book out of it
Wow.
on the food
Nice.
and
Wow.
connection to the world. The connection to the each region, the connection to each people, each region, province, and that the connection of Cebu to everybody. There is, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how about travel wise? Do you have anything in mind that you want to do?
Well, I don't know. I'm planning to go to, if everything's you know fortune to be fortunate enough. I
Yeah.
would I would try to learn and relearn Russian cuisine.
Wow. I don't even. I mean, all the Russian cuisine I know is the Russian dressing in a pastrami sandwich.
Because it's also a cuisine born out of poverty, right?
Right.
Which are usually the best food in the world. Those born out
Right.
of poverty, yeah.
Yeah. Peasant food. Wow. So are you? So do you want to? You really want to immerse yourself and go to Russia and Mother Russia
Yeah, I've
and
done
learn?
Central and South America recently, and that one, yeah, behind the Iron Curtain.
Wow, dude. Do you know anything about Russian
I,
cuisine?
I've been cooking borscht before and other stuff, but
Borscht.
the
Okay.
vocabulary with Russian cuisine maybe about a page, just a page. It's not even a book. So
Okay. Do they cook with vodka?
I'm sure they do. I think so. I'm not. I would if I live there, right?
yeah. Yeah.
We cook with tuba here, so why not?
Right. Yeah. 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 Well, chef, thank you very much for being my guest, man.
Thank you too.
It was an awesome conversation. I love talking about food, especially with guys like you who are passionate about food. And yeah, thank you very much. And I hope that I hope a vaccine comes out so we can go back to normal and do all this fucking. And I really with you, I really want to uh, if time and money and everything permits, I want to do a food trip with you in Spain, pare. Na
Sure.
talagang,
Do that.
talagang ikutan, pare, talagang immersion and just knowledge to fill my brain, pare.
Sleep in the boqueria.
Oh, dude, if I could, I would, pare.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And the funny thing about it is that there's so many Pinoys in Barcelona, man. It was so funny going inside La Boqueria, uh, and then they see that you're Pinoy. Kuya, ate, bili na kayo. I'm like, what the fuck? Where did
Really.
that come from?
We're everywhere, man.
Yeah, we're everywhere, dude. So anyway,
Especially
oh,
Filipino musicians.
oh
Every
yeah,
every hotel in the world, that's us.
yeah, we are everywhere, man. We're
Musicians
everywhere.
rock.
Yeah, it's just that Filipinos should just be more proud of themselves and where
Mm.
they came from. You
Not
know,
just with food, but with
not
everything.
just with food, with everything. It's like you hold your head up high, man. Yeah, you're a third world country, but hey, man, you gotta be proud. People from people from Colombia are proud to be Colombians. You
Mm.
know, it's a third world country. You know what I mean? So anyway, chef, thank you very much, and I really appreciate it. And good luck with everything. Don't hang up yet. This is just a formal goodbye for the show. This is WGRS Talk, Wolf's Den Radio Show Talk with Chef Ramon Antonio, one of the best cooks out there, good friend of mine, true blue rock and roller. Thank you, sir. Thank you, chef.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.